The number of British-designed aircraft types to see service with the Royal Air Force during its first century of flight is legion. This was an era of invention, trial and error. What of the Blackburn Beverly, though, or the Supermarine Walrus? Both played significant roles. The Walrus, for example, was born of an Australian Navy requirement for a catapult-capable spotting aircraft. Powered by a Bristol Pegasus 6 engine driving a pusher propeller, it was extremely successful as a general-purpose amphibian. Hard to believe it was designed by Reginald Mitchell, the man who gave us the immortal Spitfire. At one stage, Supermarine supplied the RAF with its fastest frontline aircraft, the Spitfire, as well as its slowest, the Walrus. Many more aircraft types with unique features have all but been forgotten. Here are a few of the lesser-known types. In the 1920s and early 1930s, Britain had little money to spend on the RAF. The 1927 Westland Wapiti was the result of a competition to design a general-purpose military aircraft that incorporated as many parts as possible from the de Havilland DH-9A, which the RAF had in great supply. The Wapiti's odd-looking tail resulted from a mistake. A 2-foot-long section of fuselage was accidentally left out of production plans, giving rise to very bad handling characteristics. To improve flyability, engineers added more area to the fin and rudder, as well as horn-balanced ailerons. When the error was discovered, Westland decided to leave the modified aircraft as it was. Amazingly, some Wapitis were still flying in India during the early stages of World War II. The aircraft was finally phased out in October 1940. When the Blackburn Beverly C Mark I entered a squadron service in March 1956, the heavy transport became the RAF's largest aircraft, with a wingspan of 162 feet. Powered by four 2,850 horsepower Bristol Centaurus sleeve valve radials, it made a sound like four Sea Furies in very close formation. Used mainly in the Middle East and Far East, it was one of the RAF's best heavy lifters of the 1950s and early 1960s, carrying 94 troops or 70 paratroops. The Supermarine Swift of 1951. Along with its famous companion, the Hawker Hunter, this second-generation RAF jet fighter went through a rapid development cycle, in part prompted by the Korean War. Unlike the Hunter, which was an export success, the Swift suffered endless technical problems. This was due in part to a rather rotund fuselage designed to accommodate the Rolls-Royce Nene engine, which was eventually phased out in service aircraft. A much smaller axial flow Rolls-Royce Avon was used for the production Swift instead, but this airframe engine combination did not work well. The Swift FR5 saw limited service, mostly with the 2nd Tactical Air Force in Germany, as a low-level reconnaissance fighter where its high-altitude problems did not matter. The Bolton Paul Defiant. In the 1930s, the British Air Staff calculated that if Germany attacked, Luftwaffe fighters escorting bombers would not have enough range to reach England. So a bomber-destroyer, armed with 4.303 Brownings in a powered turret, would be able to shoot down unescorted German bombers on the last part of their journey. The Merlin-powered Defiant had no forward-firing guns, however, which doomed it in daylight combat against German fighters, despite the gallantry of its crews. But with a top speed of 300 miles per hour, the Defiant did make it a serviceable first-generation night fighter during the Blitz, and it went on to be a useful target tug and air-sea rescue machine. The Avro Rota 1 of 1934, this Spanish-designed rotorcraft, a licence-built Serva A30 Autogiro, was built in a small series by the Avro Aircraft Company. Powered by a 140 horsepower Genet Major radial, it had a maximum speed of only 100 miles per hour. When coupled with a short range of 280 miles, you would think the rotor would have limited military use. This particular type of rotorcraft, however, served a vital function during World War II, flying low and slow over the sea, acting as radar targets, They enabled the UK's coastal early warning stations radar systems to be calibrated.